who were interested in commercial properties, and so I'm gonna try to reach out and match them. And then also, people just gave me their expertise on what they can do, maybe teach a class on, or do a focus group, and their interests. And so we'll be putting those to use. And so that's what the note cards were and how I'm going to gain my my people for the focus groups. Yes?
Are there any new people here this month who weren't here before who might want a note card and put things down?
That was my next step.
Okay. Sorry. I thought when you put it away, you said, so that was that, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I guess I should have known that you're more prepared than that.
That's okay. But, and even if you've already filled out a note card and you already put your information, you might have something new that you wanted to talk about, or you have a question about, or anything like that. Real estate investing is, like, there's so many focuses that you can do, and you dive into one topic and you realize how much you don't know. And so that's why I like to hand those out as well. Okay. So this month, let's see here. Oh, okay, so this meeting is the last free, open to the public meeting. On our website, there is a discount, but I'm getting used to the National RIA and the way that they run the website. So I'm going to pull this up really quick. So sorry. But if you sign up today, then you get a $10 discount from the annual today, and then you will get a $100 discount from the when you renew next year, and it keeps track of that. So this was a join today button, but when I clicked on the button, it presented as if this was the actual membership for the standard fee, which I didn't want people to think that was a standard fee. This is a discount that you're getting if you sign up today. Okay, so that's how that looks. All right. So basically what we plan on doing here is when people come, this is the educational piece. This is where you're not going to be sold anything. You come prior for networking and after for networking. And that's when people can sell if they want or whatever. But my whole goal is to get everybody a chance just to learn and not be sold something. So I'm going to talk about the due diligence today. That was it's my theme for the year. And this can be very, very broad. And so if you're gonna do due diligence with notes or flipping or whatever, I mean, that runs the gamut. So I'm just going to take one section that I know about, and I'm going to dive into that to give examples of due diligence. But in the focus groups, that's what people will be focusing on in their focus groups, trying to teach people what questions to ask, how to ask those questions, how to get to the right information. And some of the people that were here last time did ask, how do I know what a good deal is? How do I know how to structure a deal? How do I partner with somebody? What does that look like? And so I thought I would just start a little bit on just one small part of real estate investing to talk about due diligence. So due diligence is essential to everything you do in real estate, in every deal that you do. So what is due diligence? And I started out with very general definitions. So on the general definition, it's an investigative process that takes place prior to a purchase. And then, or it could be the process of investigation or analysis of a company or an organization in preparation of a business transaction. So then you relate that to real estate. And this kind of tripped me up when I started working with real estate agents, because I really didn't understand that there was different understanding for them. for due diligence than it was for me, because I came from a different background. I came from the construction background, and I'm like, well, due diligence, that's months, that's, you know, and you have to do all these things, and when it came to talking with my real estate agents, they were like, oh no, you sign the offer, and then they get their time to say yes or no, and they go through their hoops, and that's due diligence. And I was like, oh, I see now why we made that disconnect. So, and then also, it can be industry specific, where there are specific disclosures according to state law that you must have if you're going to purchase something, a business or land or something like that. So those are some examples or some broad definitions of due diligence. So basically what you're doing, and I just said this, there are many aspects of investing, such as partners, joint ventures, note buying, that we all need proper due diligence. Those areas will be covered in focus groups in the upcoming months, but right now, I'm just going to state, I'm gonna give some examples. It's not to call anybody out. These are just examples that, number one, I've either dealt with or someone has asked me about, and so I'm not trying to point fingers at any one particular business, so just know that. Okay, so prospective property is presented to purchase by a wholesale company. The company provides the address, the ARV, and the scope of work, and even a lender. What could go wrong?
Where should we start?
Exactly. Okay, so when you're doing due diligence, that's what you have to be asking yourself. What could go wrong? Where's the pitfall? Where's my risk? Where's where's the gotcha? All right. So your first steps. Now, when I look at a property, when someone says, "Hey, I got a deal," first thing I do is I look at the neighborhood and I look at the address, because I gotta know what agency is governing that area. So is that area in an agency that has a building planning department, or it doesn't have a planning department? In Idaho, we don't have a lot of planning departments, especially up further north. That's a whole other ballgame. And then, or it could, if you're looking at a property in Spokane, and they have very detailed permitting processes. We've bought properties over in Illinois, and you have to have an inspection as you go throughout every move out when someone moves in. You know, so there's a lot of steps that you have to know about in order to make a well-informed decision on what the purchase is going to do for you. So that just tells you, so the neighborhood, and I could speak hours on just the neighborhood. So I'm just gonna briefly go over that. The neighborhood also tells you, kind of getting ahead of myself, but the scope of work, when you are analyzing a deal, are you in a neighborhood that has very nice homes and it's just kind of a rundown house and you can bring it up? Are you in a neighborhood where if you're going to be putting quartz countertops in and a freestanding tub, you're wasting your money? You have to know those things before you can accurately analyze a property, because that affects the budget, and that budget is different than your scope of work. And you have a full-on scope of work, and you can choose to do everything in that scope of work or not, depending on the budget, the buy, the ARV, and all of these details. And I'm like so going over this generally, so in such a broad conceptual way, but I'm doing that so that you understand all the details of due diligence. You've got to be asking questions. And if you just take people's word for it, that's the other point, is they might be solid. They might have a good scope of work, but did they catch the foundation? They might have missed it, and the foundation, part of the foundation of the house is sinking into the ground, and they might have missed that. So you have to trust and verify, especially when it comes to their ARV. Do you understand the market, that local market in the area that they're speaking of? Because people can get ARVs, but then if the market's on a slight decline and you don't know that, And the ARV doesn't mean anything then, because it could be weeks that you sell that house, and they're like, oh, well, these houses just sold, and they're not keeping a thumbprint and a pulse on the local market. So you have to trust and verify. The things that I do when I walk a house, I look at the yard first. I look to see if there's trees going to fall on the house. And I look to see if the foundation, those are the things that I look at. And if the yard is so cluttered that I can't see the foundation, then I have to make allowances for that. And I so I'm walking around the house and condensation on the windows. Immediately you've got burst plumbing lines. And so you already know right there, your rehab just went up. Okay, and I haven't even talked about vetting the lender. So those are all things, what could go wrong, due diligence. So again, I just talked about that, the wholesalers, and they truly might give you a good solid scope of work. It could be all legit, but you have to check it. You can't just take it for what it is. The exit strategy. So you see this property and you think, well, am I gonna flip it? I don't know. Am I gonna rehab? Am I going to buy and hold it? So there was a particular time where we bought a property and we wanted to wholetail it. I don't know if you guys know what wholetailing is. Mm-hmm. Right, so it needed to be trashed out, and I was like, I do not want another rehab. I do not want to deal with any more contractors. I don't want to deal with any more permitting problems. I just want to get it done, right? And so that's what we were gonna do. We were gonna just clean it out and put it back on the market. Well, the ARV was not right, because my real estate agent was kind of new to the area, and he wasn't new to being in real estate, but he didn't really understand the particular area that I was in. I trusted him like nobody's business because he was dialed in on his data. All of his ARVs had always been really good, but we just hit right at the turn of the market, and so the ARV, the house sat on there a little bit longer. Because we are able and we know what we're doing and we've done this so many times, and my husband's really good at deal structuring, we still made money on the deal. So thankfully, and we didn't lose any money on that deal. But if it were just me and he was not in my wheelhouse, I would have lost money on the deal, because I would have just said, okay, ARV, that's what it is, and just trusted it blindly. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. All right, so the exit strategy. I really wanted to talk about the exit strategy because people usually only focus on one. And if you have one exit strategy, where are you going to be if that one strategy doesn't work? So again, my husband bailed me out on the other flip that I really didn't want to do, and I shouldn't have taken it anyway, because I didn't want to do it. So that's a first indicator that you shouldn't do it if you don't want to. But the exit strategy goes hand in hand with your due diligence. If you don't know how you're going to end the deal, and if you don't have a backup plan, if that deal doesn't work out, then where are you going to be? And you have to have more than two. I mean, two really is, I guess people would be okay, but I want, okay, can I rent it? And if I rent it, then where does the rehab need to be? Because a rental, you're not going to put the same amount of rehab in a rental that you are in. So when the market started tanking, I was like, no more flips, we're going rental mode, and those are your selections, and don't even tell me about a quartz countertop. I don't want to hear it. And so that's where, the market started going down, and so we started matching our rehab value to what was happening in the market. And then my buy was, no buy could be made unless it could be rented out with cash flow. So that took a lot of the buying products that we would have bought. That eliminated a lot of purchases right then and there. But we had to, because that's what was going on in the market. All right, so again, this is just such a broad topic. This is another actual case study that I did. It was on me. So I had a friend call me, and she's like, my son just put their house on the market. They didn't realize how big of a tax burden they were gonna have. They panicked, and we don't know what to do. Sandra, can you help us? And I was like, well, sure, let's sit down and we'll talk about it. And so we found out that he was gonna have a huge bonus in the springtime, and he just needed to pay this big, huge tax bill. And I was like, well, I've got some money I can lend, let's go ahead and set this up. So we set up the paperwork, we're getting ready to close the deal, and then I tell another friend about it. And this is why you need to have a good supportive network. I tell another friend about it, and the friend said, Sandra, you were willing to foreclose on your friend's son? I'm like, no. And he's like, what are you doing? And I had never thought about it. I was just so excited about the deal, all the numbers worked. I had a good relationship with this friend. I'm going to help them. They were happy I was going to help them. It was a win-win until my friend said that. And I was like, I cannot do this. And they're going, good, because daddy on the other side of the family is going to do it for us. And then that was just a win-win. It was a coincidence. I believe God saved me from that one. And I mean, reality of me actually having to foreclose, but it was a due diligence exit strategy. That was a reality that I did not consider. So that's why you have to consider every avenue in your exit strategy. Your exit strategy is your essential component to due diligence, and people miss it. So anyway, basically memorized my presentation, which was good. That's good. Okay, so now's the time though where I wanted to include our sole Zoomie member. So John, do you have any questions, John?
I guess I don't want to get too much into the detail on the situation we just talked about, but can you kind of give us a broad spectrum on what happened in that instance? Like, was it taxes that he owed to W-2 and he was trying to not have to pay taxes on top of the sale of his home? Or what was the scenario in that, Sandra, where it looked great but turned out to be bad?
So that, I guess this fits right in what I'm talking about, because they had hired a contractor who was doing creative finance, and the contractor took long. I mean, and it was during COVID where everybody took long, everybody's paying more than what they expected, and so by the time that they finalized the build of this house, the sale price that they had to pay the contractor was very, very high. And then, so taxes went up during this time too. And so, yeah, the property taxes went up. So they just got a bill that they had already, had to pay this contractor all this money, which was very hard for them. And then to get the increase of the taxes on their property, it was all they could do, and that's why they panicked. So
was it was actually a new bill? They didn't account for the higher taxes on the property tax?
that is what I understood. And here's the other thing, and this applies too. When you are hiring a general contractor or any kind of contractor, you need to read your contracts for escalation clauses. I put them in there. I mean, most contractors that we know put them in there for a reason. It usually never happens. The only time it happened was during COVID, and it's called a black swan event because you don't expect it to happen. And here we are sitting looking at the black swan. So black swans exist.
But if we don't know about them.
Yeah. So how are you going to be prepared? You can try your best to analyze and be prepared, and due diligence can really save you from a lot of pitfalls. But there is going to be a time where you're going to have that black swan event. What are you going to do? Yeah.
And so this sounds to me like it was like a contractor who was doing like a personal loan, not a personal loan. Like he carried the mortgage on it, or they carried the mortgage on it in a sense, or was it through a bank as well?
They told me that they got a hard money loan.
Okay.
And and so I was like, I'm not gonna get into that because I didn't want to blur the lines of what I was doing and trying to help them. And so my goal was to just help them at that point. Yeah, yeah. So in the end, they stayed in their house. They ended up paying off that tax bill because of his big bonus, and everybody was happy that they are living in their house. It was a very good situation, and I did not have to foreclose on my friend's son. But I learned that lesson. So, yeah. And the other thing about due diligence, and the reason why I feel like it's so important, because we get just bombarded on the internet about, hey, I got this deal. I flipped 1,000 houses. I did this, and I was like, okay, so you flipped 1,000 houses, Pally. How did those all turn out for you? Where was the numbers? And I spent some time preparing for this meeting, just listening to the people on the internet, you know, and here buy my course, here buy this, here buy that. And I started really analyzing what it was they were telling me. And so this particular individual said, yeah, we had this deal, we had that deal, and I noted that he never, he would always say, yeah, it's under contract. It's under contract. And I'm like, okay, so did it close? What did it close at? What was the sale price? Where was your margin? Where's your profit? You know, all of these numbers. And you get so easily sucked into the hype of what is there. And you're like, oh my gosh, this guy's so successful. I can do this too. And that's awesome energy. That's the energy that's gonna keep you through the downturns and the nastiness of whatever it is that's gonna happen to you. But it's not right, and they're not giving you the full picture. And if that's the case, where do you go to find support and knowledge? And when things do go bad, because they will go bad, and you need a supportive team to help you through that. I know that firsthand. So that's why I was so passionate about starting this Sreia, because I need this group that I'm starting, so I know everybody else does. And I really encourage people to do masterminds, to do conferences, and on my page, as I develop it, I'll be having a list of conferences, a list of things that, meetups, things that I think are good, books and all of that. So that's why we come to these places, is to get good, solid help that's ethical, and people have integrity. That's my whole purpose of my meetup. All right, so what I wanted to do now, since done a little early, but we have some time, so I'm gonna ask Julie to share about her, you have an event in March.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And actually, just to touch on your point on ethics, my podcast has over 450 episodes now. And I was, here, I'll stand up because I hate to my back to people. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know what's going on over the back camera. But my podcast, The Conscious Investor, has over 450 episodes now, and I'm at a point to where I believe I have to start vetting my my guests in a more substantive way, because there's an obligation and responsibility if you're developing any type of platform to ensure that who is a source and are they credible, because it's really easy, trust me. Everybody wants to be on a podcast, and everybody's an expert, and everybody wants to share their story, blah, blah, blah. And I cannot tell you how many people you just put a lot of hurdles in the path and make it really challenging for people. And then you end up like, now I'm doing some pre-interviews. Like, if I don't know the person and they are not someone that's already directly connected with me. So today I was talking with this guy and just told him in a very friendly way, I'm glad that our mutual friend introduced us. That's super cool. Everybody's an expert right now. So let's have a real conversation, because a lot of my listeners actually do go do business with the people that are on my show. So I take that there's even another layer to, I believe, what people should be doing in making sure that the content they're creating is vetted and that it's accurate. So there's my spiel that the truth I've been living by and implementing the last 2-3 months, I'm like, okay, hold on. There are all these people, and I have line of sight on a lot of behind the scenes. I'm like, they just lost a bunch of money, and that person has this going south, and I don't care. We're all going to go through our surprises.
Yep.
Like, that's why it's a surprise. It's going to happen. That doesn't mean you're a bad person or that you don't know what you're doing. It just means, like, okay, how did you handle the surprise that came your way? Let's tell the story from the scars and not from the bloody mess that you might be in the moment.
Right. No,
So.
yeah, that's exactly it. And that's one of the things I struggled with this presentation was how to know if you're going to a good quality conference, how do you vet that? And that, I was like, well, I got a referral from someone I really trusted that got me to Generations of Wealth, and which changed my life, quite frankly. And going to that meetup, and the thing about that meetup, which I'm trying to duplicate here also, is that you got to sit and talk with the people who were putting on the meetup. You were like really networking with them and really getting to know them and really diving in. And so you knew their integrity already. And so when I met with the people from Generations of Wealth, I was like, do they have a mastermind? I just asked them, and I was looking for that as well, because I wanted that support. And they had an opening on their mastermind, and now they even opened up another mastermind, CO2 group. And that's wonderful. I'm hoping that we can do something like that here. But that's the whole purpose of solutions, is what you're talking about, is the support, and how do you get quality education, and you know that you're not getting half of it. So
The shiny side, the bright side,
yeah.
the sign that makes you look like a rock star. Like,
Exactly, and if I may, just having those connections of trusted people. Larry and I, just through some other connections, we were asked, if we could help with a certain situation, and we knew this guy, and this guy is solid. And he was partnering with this other guy who I didn't know. I knew his name though, and I'm not gonna mention it because many of you might know his name as well. So I'm not gonna mention that.
Which guy are you talking about?
So anyway, so we were at this other, we were at this mastermind, and we were talking about, hey, we're gonna be working with these guys, blah, 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 and everything was great. And then I think that's where somebody told kind of the leader of this mastermind, who then later called us. He said, hey, he just called us out, or he texted, he says, hey, could you call me, as soon as possible. So we called him, and he says, hey, I can't tell you who told me, but I heard about X, Y, and Z, and I just want to caution you to be really, really careful.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? And he says, and I don't know, he says, but what I can tell you from my own experience, and then he shared his own experience from when he and this other guy used to speak for Tony Robbins. And it was like, and then he shared his story. And again, I'm sorry, I'm not giving details because I'm trying to respect their whatever, but just having those relationships and having somebody looking out for our back and saying, watch yourself, is so, and you have to listen to them too, by the way.
but it's also like that line of sight where you actually have relationships where people do that.
Yeah.
I just had a social post maybe a year and a half or so, and I wasn't even doing business with someone that was included in the post, and my phone rang.
Yeah.
And I had this phone call from a friend who was what I appreciate is that a lot of times we understand how small this space is,
Very.
and it's never good to say it's just a good 4 agreements. If you haven't read the book, please read the book. Like, if the world just operated by the 4 agreements, regardless of their faith, religious backgrounds, and all that, the world would be a better place. But it's like being impetuous with your word. Like, mind what you say about other people, and that's a great thing, is that you can put something, and if you are connected with people who care about you and want the best for you and are cheering you on, you will get those phone calls that say, hey, if you're gonna go do a deal with that person, I just want to caution you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then even just that, they didn't say anything disparaging. This person said, I'm like, oh, I'm not doing any business. Actually, I wasn't feeling aligned anyway to do business with that person, but
Yeah.
And it led into a conversation that gave me, you know, that like nothing gossipy. Gossip doesn't do anybody good, but it gave me enough of a reason to confirm
That
what,
feeling you had.
why I was feeling the way I was feeling.
Yeah, right.
So this is also why I love my growth summit that's coming up.
Good
Because,
segue.
Yeah.
did you like that? There are flyers over there. No, but every one of the speakers is hand selected because voices are amplified, and let me tell you, everybody wants to be on a stage right now. It's kind of like the in vogue thing is like, again, people are like, can I come speak at your event? Do you have spaces? And I'm like, I really appreciate your offer. I'm, you know, not at this time. And I don't mind saying not at this time. You have to be, and I want everyone in this room to be strong enough to say, no, thank you. It's okay to say and to be the guardian and gatekeeper of things in your life and to say, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's not a value statement. It's not anything personal. It's, wow, I'd like to get to know you better. Not at this time. That's saying, here are my standards and here is how I operate, and this is just a not at this time. It might be, for some people, it might be like a hell no, not now, not ever. Like that just might be the reality in some cases, let's all be real. But the speakers that I have brought into the summit, most of them are people that I am actually personally deeply connected with on a much deeper level. Some of them have come into my life more recently, but you just know, like if you're a people person, you just know, you're like, okay, we're so aligned, our messages are aligned, you are aligned with this. So there are 4 people that I brought on later, but I actually waited. I waited on these people for like 2 months and just kept watching them and kept watching them and kept watching. It was like, are you really showing up like this? I mean, some of them I watched for months before that, but before I made that first phone call to even scope them out, it was like, let me just see your pattern and your consistency and who. So I'm really excited and confident about the caliber of people that are speaking at the event and what they represent, and just the different topics. It is a holistic event, so it is not like, we're gonna go and underwrite all day longer. Like, that's not our purpose, okay? We're not gonna go sit and crunch numbers and talk all this head stuff all day long. We are going to make sure that we're taking care of our bodies, because if your shell is deteriorated, good luck.
Yeah.
Like, and I think some of us in this room, we've been through it, we know, like, man, the only thing I want is my health. I don't care how many deals I have or how much money I have. I just want to stay here on planet Earth a bit longer with my loved ones. So, you know, health is a huge central part. We include physical health, relational health, spiritual health, because regardless of what we believe, we are being guided by whatever we believe in our head, even if we're not fully aware of what we believe. Like, there is a deeper belief that guides decision making. And so we'll talk about health. We will talk about, like, seriously, gut brain health. How cool is that? Like, all sorts of health. We will be talking about mindset, because we know we can all access all this great information. Most people aren't flying in private jets, or they're not independently wealthy because they're not taking action on what they know. So this event clears a space between your head and helps you really get grounded inside of yourself and say, like, okay, I got this. And then, yeah, we are diving into the mechanics. And the mechanics will vary. Definitely the real estate investing, but if you guys have been paying attention, a lot of people are buying businesses now. And that's kind of like the new sexy thing out there. Let's be real. Like, it just changes. The asset class changes, you know? And so understanding, like, what are some principles and some mechanics of buying a business is actually important. And that is part of real estate. I buy assisted living facilities. So I'm buying real estate and I'm buying a business. So, you know, understanding these things is important. We'll have a good array, half off tickets still, because I just like people coming and shining, and the tickets are selling and it's really exciting. But there's a flyer over there, you can use mindset. I think this one's like, I liked the tagline I came up with, but that's kind of narcissistic. Of course I like it. It says, your portfolio represents or reflects your mindset.
Yeah.
It's just a fact. Like, whatever your portfolio looks like is going to be a representation of what's going on in your head. So I could wax on because we know I like words. Everybody here knows that. If you are new here and we just met, you now know that. So I hope to see you at the Conscious Investor Growth Summit. Sunrise cold plunge in Lake Coeur d'Alene on Saturday morning because that's part of health. Well, girl, remember, I think you've heard me say this, like, I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I'm actually anti-cold plunge, and I've gone on record saying I'm anti-cold plunge.
Sarah talked you into it, right?
But there's Sarah, and there's Amanda, and there are a whole bunch of the speakers that actually do, like, plunges as part of their...
Yeah.
No, I'm all about the heat. I get hypothermic, so I know Huberman would be all about, like, you should be doing this thing. I'm like, no, Huberman, I don't need your lab to tell me anything. I like comfort. So, but we're all doing really uncomfortable things all the time. My discomfort does not have to be in cold water, but it will be on Saturday morning. So, and then Saturday night we will have like just a super fun get together that my friend Sarah at Linked Studios is putting on and hosting for everyone. So just like a nice little evening that she's hosting at Linked Studios. And it will have charcuterie, wine, beer, soft drinks, stuff like that. But one of the elements of that, I said I was going to stop talking, and I'm still talking. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about this part of it. And I hope that this stays with everybody here. Wherever you go, do something that kind of memorializes the change that is within you. So for me, at Linked Studios, she does permanent jewelry. She does custom. You can build your own custom hats. Don't worry if you're a dude, it'll be fine. She does corporate events and she knows how to, everybody's happy. But I know, I have a permanent jewelry that she did for me. I'm gonna get another one because I know that I'm gonna have a takeaway that I'm gonna want to just be able to just remind myself of. And I'm still don't have a tattoo, so I'm scared about that level of commitment. But I can do something like this, or a hat, or whatever it is that wherever you go, just do something that is symbolic that you can actually touch. You could buy a magnet somewhere, just something that reminds you as to what your bigger, greater takeaway was to anchor you back. Cool. All right, Julie's quiet now.
So during that time, I'm going to be at our mastermind. So I've known Julie for a little bit. I do listen to her podcast. It's very informative, and so I would be attending that if I could, but I'm at the mastermind. So there's a flyer. I will probably put a section like that on the website, and that's the other thing that I'm trying to do as well. But just bear with me as I'm learning and growing with my website and everything that we're offering. So by March, what's up and coming, March is going to have the property listing. So you will be able to submit, I just have to figure out a system that people will be able to submit their pocket listings, the things that they may or may not want to sell or things like that. But that will be a page on the website. And then my husband has talked extensively about running the exchangers meeting, and that is different than a haves and wants. And so the content that we're providing here is going to be robust. And I said that on my website, I mean it. It's gonna take me a bit to get there. And people are volunteering. Tammy is volunteering right now. Leon is volunteering. I've got my volunteer advisory board. So I have a lot of people behind me, and that is huge right there. It is amazing that people want to support this, but they want to support this because they need what I want and need too. So that's what's upcoming in March. So on the website, you can join on the website if you want to become a member, or you can write a check tonight. I do have the information that I can put up on the screen if you want to write a check, or you just go home and join through the website as well. It's up to you, whatever your comfort level is. But that discount lasts for a week, and you get $100 if you renew next year off of the membership. So $10 tonight, and then $100 if you renew next year. And our computer.
What's the normal? Just out of curiosity.
The normal for one person is $199,
Okay.
and then for a couple, and the reason why I did up to 3 is because usually it's a couple and one of their friends, Or, you know, in a business, it's usually just 3 people, and so the business is $2.99. They were like $100 par, and then there's sponsorships. So, and if you're a sponsor, a member, that is where you get all the membership benefits, because you get the membership benefits of the national as well. So they have like 20% discount on Home Depot. I know Home Depot operates much differently back in the East Coast up here. So if you struggle with Home Depot here, I've got some tips.
I will tell you that that members of Rhea, are the number 1 buyers at Home Depot.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah.
group.
And so you get the automatic 20% if you're like, especially with paint.
It's a great deal.
Yeah, people have to work up to it, but with, oh geez, John, sorry that you my
Yeah.
laptop's dying, so, sorry. Anyway,
It's okay.
so there's tons of benefits on the website for the RIA, the national benefits, that in addition to what you get with Solutions. So if you have your own company, talk to the Cove, but they have discounts as well for membership here. And this is amazing membership. I paid $100 and I have access to all of this. So there's different memberships or whatever. So get a hold of Carrie at the Cove if you want to do that, if you already aren't. Many of us are already. And so, but yeah, the memberships will grow. I do know the memberships will grow, but the content will grow. And I've signed up for a coaching program to help me implement and run a successful RIA from another lady that has been in the industry for over 40 years. She's quite amazing. Her name is Mina Joan Cox, and she's go to Corey Rocks. Yeah, I told John to go to her RIA as well, because she's got tons of resources. And you shouldn't be a part of just one, you should be a part of multiple. So that's just
One
my
thing
way.
I'll say too, Sandra,
Yes.
it's extremely humble. That $100 and $200 for this membership, in a sense, is also accessing you and your network of people, which is amazing. So just in that itself, networking with you guys who don't want to take advantage of the newbie is huge.
Thank you.
There's a million other places you can join a group of people and you can do all these silly classes and coaching, but this is a lot better and better.
I appreciate that, John. So I do have to disclose, I am coaching John. We just started up, but I've known John for a while, and I don't just coach just anybody, because they have to show initiative. And John kept on. What is this? And he was asking, and so I was just like, okay, we're gonna take him on, because I know what he's gonna use. He's gonna implement it, and he's gonna implement it for himself and his family. And I've coached one other couple, and they did the same thing, you know. And so now they're in their own market niche, and they took off. You know, I just taught them how to flip one house, and they've got a portfolio in their own little market niche, and it's awesome. And I love that. I would love to do that always. So thank you, John, for that information. Little bit plug. Thank you.
Also, is there anyone else that's a newbie that's there right now, Sandra?
I don't think so. I think everyone's pretty. Yeah, we all know each other.
Some level of experience.
Some level, yeah.
The one thing I will say that John specifically has taught me in the last week is anybody that does come into this that's new, like you said, it's really robust in information. You can get lost in researching everything.
Yep.
Yes.
So try to find a niche, try to find something that interests you, and laser focus on it, which I'm super guilty of, because there's money to be made in every single niche there is in real estate, and it's really easy to go on these rabbit holes all over the place. Find something that interests you and that you can kind of focus on and go there, because there's so much information out there, it's overwhelming.
Exactly. And that's again why you join RIAs, why you get connected with a coach, a good quality coach, go to conferences. Those are the things that helps you narrow down what you want to do. Yeah. All right. So 5 minutes left. It's pretty amazing. All right, John, I'm gonna click off. Go ahead and if you have any more questions, shoot me an email, and we talk all the time. So I appreciate you showing up. I really do. It means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope I can be there in person one of these days.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. So I appreciate every single one of you for showing up. It means a lot to me. It really does. So probably need to, I don't even know how to turn this off, but anyway, I can turn that off. And if you guys want to stay, we have the night. There's no closing or anything, so, yeah. But anyway, now is the time for networking. And if you have any questions of me, any questions of anybody else, this is when I kind of like to either get to know you if I don't know you what you do, or showcase what you do. And I cannot shut my computer down to save my life right now. All right. So what's your guys' area of focus? As she just put the candy bar out.
What is it you want on these?
Just like your interests and what you're good at, like your expertise. Yeah, and what you want.